My lens isn't like wide enough. Are you recording me?
All right. Before we start, can everyone just say yay to Junior Dev, and I'll take a photograph. Let's have some fun with this. 3, 2, 1, now. Yay! Who won? All right, excellent. Good job, everybody. No, do not want to share with anybody. Not yet. All right. Hi, I'm Zubin. Can you guys hear me okay if I step away from the mic? Because I'm Indian, I tend to move around a bit when I talk. Is that okay? No? No. Is that better now?
Yes, just
a little bit better. Yeah, it's not very long, those James Bond guns, so that's all right. Don't worry about it. It's a trivial issue. I'll stand still. It's trivial.
It might have been me, not the mic.
Yeah, okay, definitely. Let's go with that story. So, just as a bit of background, I'm here to talk to you about, this is a fairly self-explanatory title, and it's because of a certain set of experiences that I went through when I was switching careers. But let me start with the goals of this talk so that you can hold me accountable to them at the end. The goals are really to give you new information, some new ideas, and new inspiration. But for me to map that, I need to get a sense how many people in this room are people who are looking to change roles, are new to dev and looking for their first role. Just a show of hands. Okay, cool. So there are some of you who I hope this will be really relevant to, and if you like, come and find me later. Very happy to have a chat with you. So why am I here? I do have a really weird story. And that's really what inspired this talk. Is I sort of accidentally discovered some things while I was moving into the dev world that I thought everybody knew, but it turns out not many people know, and I really found this out through recruiters and others. A little bit about me. I was 11 years, I call myself a recovering lawyer because I was 11 years in corporate law, and then I moved into management and I was doing all that kind of stuff for a little while. Then I did the really smart thing. I got married and immediately quit my high-paying job and said I'm going to do my startup, and told my wife after the marriage. It was really funny because it was 4 days after the wedding, and I was like, can we have dinner? There's something I need to tell you about. And she's like, you could not have told me this 4 days before. I don't even know what this is, but really now? And I'm like, look, I'm going to quit. I want to start my own startup. I did that and I failed, right? I had a couple of co-founders along the way, but they quit because it got really hard. Like, we built the product, we launched it, we had partnerships with the city councils, but really the unit economics didn't work. So I was faced with a choice. I was like, do I quit or do I keep going? Well, I can't keep going because I'm kind of running out of money, so I quit. No, but I don't want to quit. All right, then learn to dev, learn to code, right? So I said this is going to be really a lot of fun because I have no idea where to start, and I thought it was really hard and all the rest of it. So I sat down and did. And eventually I got to a point where 7 months later I had 4 offers from all 4 people I applied to, right? But the reason I'm here to talk to you about that is because I found out some things along that journey that I really thought everyone else knew, but apparently not many people know. So let's start going through the real crux of the problem. The problem is most of the times when you apply for a role, 2 things are going to happen, most of the time, right? You're not going to hear back, or you're not going to be successful. And that's okay. It's a numbers game. We've all been through this. I remember when I was leaving the law, I had a spreadsheet, 53 rejections in 4 months, right? For 1 success. And that's just the numbers you got to go with, right? That's just how the market is. And I was a hiring manager for many years in my career, so I know how much the market has changed. Ever since LinkedIn came in, it's really made it really hard to hire people because there's such a volume of applications now. The job market's completely open, it's transparent, everyone can see what's going on, and all sorts of people apply for roles, and a lot of the applicants just aren't what the company's looking for, and so it adds a lot to the noise. So I said, all right, we know this is a known problem. And so I started looking at the numbers. Now this is a guy called Jason Zed, that's his Twitter handle at the bottom. Really interesting, check him out if you can, he's got a fantastic story. But this is an example of him who's in San Francisco, he currently works at Lyft. 44 applications with 41 internal referrals, which is a really high number of internal referrals. But of that, less than 50% converted to a phone screen. Then after that, he started doing really well, right? 8 on-sites and 7 out of 8 offers, which is phenomenal. Now, I'm going to focus on the top part of this. Really, that's what the analysis is about. The bottom bit, once you get to that stage, it's really about, can you crack the coding interview? But how do you stand out to even get to that stage? 3 points. 1, perspective. In learning to code, we tend to focus on what we've learned. That's actually kind of irrelevant from the hiring manager's perspective, right? What matters is what they need. What do they need you to know? And so you've got to do the effort to map what you know, what you're interested in, with what they actually need as an organization, right? A lot of people skip that step, which is why you'll have Java developers applying for a front-end React role. Makes no sense, right? They don't have that background. And I was astonished to hear from the hiring managers that this is a common problem, that they get applicants who aren't really with the skill set that they're looking for. 2, it's really important to remember that what you know is secondary to how much skill you have in that subject. Now this sounds like a very nuanced point, but it's really important because people don't hire for your knowledge, they hire you for your skill. Knowledge is what makes you eligible to apply for the role. Skill is what will get you the role, right? And there's a bit of a gap. Most of us, and certainly I made this mistake when I started out, was I developed the technical knowledge, but hadn't actually developed any proficiency or skill in it. And in my job hunt phase, I wasn't really building that up. I assumed the journey sort of ended with finding or developing the knowledge without really developing the skill. Now this again, that's actually a quote from one of the hiring managers where he says, we never hire for knowledge, we only hire for skill. And to be honest, that made perfect sense. Back when I was a hiring manager, you'd have a bunch of people with qualifications apply, but how do you choose the ones that you actually want to give the role to? It ends up with skill and expertise. The advantage with development is that there are lots of tools and cultural nuances that mean that it's actually a lot easier for you to showcase what you do, right? It's normal in the tech world to be displaying stuff on either Twitch or on a vlog or a blog. It's normal to have a portfolio site. It's normal to do some demo projects. Like, these are not strange things. You don't have an accountant with a GitHub page, right? There's a reason that doesn't exist, right? As a lawyer, I didn't have the equivalent. It was LinkedIn and my referral network and the transactions I did, right? But devs have a very unique set of assets and tools at their disposal. Astonishingly, very few people actually leverage them properly. I'll give you an example of my personal story, because I did this kind of accidentally. Because I was so much older, I'm trying to go back to self-study, I taught myself how to code. I realized the only way I could do it systematically was to write notes. And then I was writing notes on pieces of paper, and the dog would eat them, or I'd just lose them somewhere. So I said, hang on, I'm trying to be a technologist, I should be doing this online. And so I started putting my study notes and converting them into markdown files that then later became a simple blog, right? Then started publishing on Medium. Then got noticed by FreeCodeCamp for the work I was doing because of my weird career trajectory, got interviewed by them for a podcast. Completely accidental, not by design, right? But apparently that really helped me in my application process, because people suddenly could validate my journey against third-party resources, my blogs and other stuff that I put out there. Simple stuff like that, right? Another example is a friend of mine who loves movies built a very simple site that's a sort of Netflix clone. Again, you get tons of these projects out there on the internet. But he did it really well. He would every week change the GIF that he put on the MD file, on the README, to the latest movie showing and animate the heck out of it, right? And so it was really fun to go to his GitHub repo for that project and see. It's literally like you'd see a list of all the latest movies animated there. It was really well done. Simple little tricks to make it stand out, to show that you put some effort and care into it. Which then brings me to the point that I was most astonished to hear. Apparently, not many people have a lot of active contributions to their own GitHub profile. Now, I'm really amazed to hear this, right? I think we all, the more senior you get, I guess, the more you have there. But you can look at the activity graph. And there are some graphs apparently out there that don't have any contributions or activity for 2-3 months. Now, if you're looking for a role, you need to be showing that you're constantly working on developing your skill, right? Apparently, not many people do this, and their GitHub repos look like, the dark ones at night. It's not a lot happening, right? And so that's something you can easily remedy. Do a weekly project or whatever it is. Just keep doing something. It's literally low-hanging fruit. And the README is actually a really simple place to put interesting content into about the rest of the project. So even if they don't inspect your code base, have pictures, have GIFs, have a write-up of all the technologies you used, link to it, link to the blogs you used, show some care, and a little bit of window dressing there really goes a long way. So all this raises the question, why as developers do we need to worry about showcasing? Because let's face it, it sucks. It kind of feels a bit icky at times. Well, it's not. It doesn't have to be icky. The goal in doing this is to make yourself undeniable. Make yourself the obvious choice to the hirer, right? And if you are looking for a role, it's your responsibility, I guess, to make it really, really easy for the hiring manager to say, you're a no-brainer, I'm going to take you in. The catch to this is, a lot of the time, we assume that HR actually, with respect to all the HR people who may be in the room, we assume that HR departments are the actual final call on the matter. They're not. Their task is actually quite different, and this is again given to me by a hiring manager. We said, I don't care what any HR department tells you, their goal appears to be simply to avoid risk. I need you to show me that you can do the job. Right? So there's slightly different dynamics as to why they're looking at you, or how different parts of the same company look at you as an applicant. All right, so let me just summarize the three main learnings I had. One, perspective, it's what they need, not really what you know, what you've learned that really matters and needs to be demonstrated. Two, show skill, not just knowledge. The technical interview will sort the knowledge bit out, but you've got to show skill by actually doing a lot of projects. And three, showcase yourself, because the more you make it obvious that you're a good candidate, the more likely you are to get into the top of that funnel when you're applying with all the competition out there. Any questions? Nothing about the documents, I don't know anything about
How long did it take you from start learning to actually get a job?
5.5 months. Thank you. Full time though, so there is a catch. Because I didn't want to go back to my traditional role, and because my wife already knew I was nuts. I could just do this full time. I wasn't doing the startup anymore. I could just 10 hours a day for 6 days a week for 5 months. Anything else? No? Oh yes. Hello.
What was your daily activities to convert yourself from what was going to the?
So I had to experiment a bit with that. Where I ended up after about a month and a half of experimenting was I would do the same topic from 2 to 3 different sources. Do the same topic. So for example, when I was trying to teach myself the basics of React, I do it off a YouTube course. I do it off a blog and the official documentation, and then I do a Udemy course. Right? And the reason is the 3 different perspectives on the same subject help me build models of thinking and patterns, a mental model of how things work from different perspectives. It's three times the work, but hey, what was I going to do? I had to hit the goal. So. Any other questions?
So the phrase, we don't hire for knowledge, we hire for skill. So in that case, does the word skill refer to applied knowledge?
Pretty much. I think that's a really good way to put it. In fact, I wish I'd actually paraphrased it. That's much better. Applied knowledge is exactly what it is, because I may know how a for loop should look, but if I don't know what scoping is in that context, and all the rest of that, they all conditions. That's a terrible example. It's too technical, but you get what I'm saying. Like if I don't know how to apply it to a project or when to apply a certain bit of theory. Again, you learn a lot of this in the job, but it's only by building stuff that you actually know the nuances. Anything else? I think I've overrun my time big time. I'm not. Sorry. Do we have time for more? Or? Yeah?
One more question. The value of the portfolio,
Yeah.
does that go down after you've had some experience, or does it keep its value throughout your career?
I don't know the answer to that, is the honest answer, because I've only gone this far. And I haven't actually done the research to find out what happens to people 5 or 10 years in the industry. I don't know if anyone else has been around 5 or 10 years, whether they've got a perspective to share. I think it's a great question, but I don't know the answer. Sorry.
So when do you know you're ready to apply for a job? Because
You'll never know.
You'll never feel ready.
I did a triple byte interview and I got my ass kicked. Right? I really got it, but it was really important to me. I did it well before I was ready, because the feedback help me concentrate for the next, target my efforts. So it's an iterative process. The sooner you start, the more feedback you get, the more practice you get, and it's a learnable skill. Interviewing, getting in front of people is a learnable skill. There's no rocket science to this. Find me after this, no problems at all. I'll be happy to have a chat. Thanks, guys.